The massive view screen in the Galactic Council chamber showed another world burning. The planet's once beautiful blue oceans boiled away into space as the Dominator ships continued their relentless bombardment. Around the council table, representatives from 30 different species watched in helpless silence. Some turned away, unable to bear witnessing another civilization's end. Council leader Marcus, a tall being with golden skin, gripped the edge of the table until his knuckles turned white. "That's the fourth world this month," he said, his voice heavy with defeat. "We sent our best ships to defend them." The Dominators had appeared 2 years ago from the unexplored regions of space. At first, the Council hadn't worried much. New species appeared all the time, and most sought peaceful relations. But the Dominators were different. They didn't want trade, or diplomacy, or cultural exchange. They wanted fear. Their ships were nothing special in terms of technology. What made them terrifying was their method. They would target one world at a time, taking their time to destroy it while broadcasting the destruction across all communication channels. They wanted everyone to watch. They wanted everyone to know they were next. "Our combined fleet lost 40 ships defending that world," reported Admiral Turner, the military advisor to the Council. He was an older man from one of the core worlds, his blue scales showing signs of age. The Dominators lost only 5 ships, but they didn't even seem to care. They just kept coming. The room fell silent as the view screen showed the final moments of the dying world. The planet's crust cracked, revealing the molten core beneath. Within minutes, it would explode, taking with it billions of years of history and millions of innocent lives. "How many ships do we have left?" someone asked from the back of the room. Admiral Turner pulled up a holographic display. The combined fleets of all Council worlds number just over 8,000 ships. The Dominators. He paused, his voice catching. "The Dominators have fewer than 2,000. "Then why can't we stop them?" demanded a representative from the mining colonies. "We outnumber them 4-1. "Because they've broken our will to fight," answered Marcus. "Each time we send ships, they take horrific losses. The Dominators don't care about casualties. They keep coming, keep broadcasting the destruction. Our people are losing hope. Crew members are refusing to fly missions. Some worlds are talking about surrender." The view screen flickered as the doomed planet finally exploded. The shockwave destroyed the automated probe that had been broadcasting the footage, plunging the Council chamber into darkness. When the lights came back on, faces around the table showed various stages of despair. "What about the newcomers?" asked a young representative. "The humans. Their world is in the path of the Dominator fleet. Maybe they could help." A bitter laugh echoed through the chamber. "Earth." Admiral Turner shook his head. "They barely achieved FTL travel 10 years ago. They're centuries behind us in technology. Their entire military consists of a few dozen primitive ships that barely qualify as interstellar. The Dominators would crush them in hours." "Has anyone even warned them?" asked Marcus. "We sent a message last week," confirmed the communications officer. "They acknowledged receipt but haven't responded, probably still arguing about what to do. Their world is so divided, they can barely agree on anything." The Council chamber's alert system suddenly blared to life. A new hologram appeared, showing the Dominator fleet in formation. They had chosen their next target. "No," whispered Admiral Turner. "They're heading toward the Centauri colonies. There are 12 billion people living there." "How long until they arrive?" Marcus demanded. "At their current speed, 4 days, but they'll probably slow down to broadcast their approach. They like to let the fear build." Marcus looked around the Council chamber, seeing the same defeated expression on every face. The Galactic Council, proud alliance of hundreds of worlds, was helpless against an enemy that used terror itself as a weapon. "Send the warning to Earth again," he ordered. "They should at least know what's coming. And may whatever gods they believe in have mercy on their souls." In the darkness of space, the Dominator fleet moved steadily onward, their black ships reflecting no light, broadcasting their message of terror across the stars. But what neither they nor the Council knew was that humans had a very different response to fear than most species in the galaxy. And in a hidden shipyard orbiting Jupiter, humanity's response was almost ready. Behind Jupiter's largest moon, Ganymede, hidden from both Earth and alien observation, floated humanity's greatest secret. The massive construction dock stretched over 3 kilometers in length, housing a single ship that would change the course of galactic history. Admiral John Miller stood at the observation window, his gray hair and weathered face reflecting in the reinforced glass. Below him, thousands of workers in spacesuits moved across the hull of the massive vessel like ants on a fallen tree. The ship was beautiful in a terrifying way, its dark hull absorbing nearly all light, broken only by lines of faint blue energy that pulsed along its length. "Status report," he said to the air, knowing the station's eye would respond. "The Guardian is at 98.4% completion, Admiral," the eye replied. "All weapon systems are operational. Main drive is running final tests. The crew has completed their 6th simulation, run with a 94% success rate." Miller nodded slowly. For 10 years, Earth had watched the galaxy, intercepting communications, studying battles, and learning. While the Galactic Council saw humans as primitive newcomers, humanity had been preparing. Every major nation had contributed their entire military budget to this single project. One ship to defend Earth, one ship to change everything. "Show me the latest Dominator attack," Miller ordered. The window transformed into a screen, displaying the destruction of the world they'd all watched fall yesterday. Miller didn't flinch. He'd seen it 40 times already, studying every detail of how the Dominators operated. "Their pattern remains the same," reported Captain Robert West, walking up beside Miller. The captain was younger, with dark skin and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "They're all about the show. Big explosions, lots of dramatic pauses, always broadcasting. Because fear is their real weapon," Miller said. "But they forgot something important about humans, Robert." "What's that, sir?" "We've been scaring ourselves for fun since we invented storytelling." Miller smiled slightly. "Every horror movie, every ghost story, every campfire tale. Humans deliberately seek out fear to understand it better. We're probably the only species in the galaxy that turned fear into entertainment." The observation room's door slid open as Dr. Anna White entered, carrying her ever-present tablet. As the project's head engineer, she designed many of the Guardian's unique systems. "Latest test results are in," she announced. "The point defense system exceeded all expectations. We fired 1,000 missiles at it from different angles. Do you know how many got through?" "Tell me," Miller said. "0. She grinned. "The AI predicted and intercepted every single one. No other ship in the galaxy has anything like it. They all rely on energy shields, which the Dominators somehow bypass. We went old school. Shoot down the threats before they reach you." The station's alert system suddenly pulsed red. "Priority message from Earth Command," the AI announced. "The Dominators have changed course. They're headed for the Centauri colonies." Miller's face hardened. The Centauri colonies were the closest human settlements to Earth after Mars. "Time to completion?" he asked. 36 hours, minimum," Dr. White replied. "We can't rush the final drive calibrations. The Dominators will reach the colonies in 4 days," Captain West said. "Even if we launch as soon as we're ready, it'll be close." Miller turned back to the window, looking at the massive ship below. The Guardian represented everything humanity had learned about warfare over thousands of years. Its design combined concepts from ancient Roman shields to modern submarine warfare. Its AI contained the tactical knowledge of every major battle in human history. "Send word to Earth Command," Miller ordered. "Tell them the Guardian will be ready. And send a message to the Galactic Council too. Tell them," he paused, allowing himself a small smile. "Tell them that humanity respectfully requests permission to join the fight." In the dock below, Workers began attaching the final armor plates to the Guardian's hull. Inside the ship, crew members ran endless drills, preparing for the battles to come. And in the vast database of the ship's AI, thousands of years of human military history waited to be unleashed against an enemy that thought they had perfected the art of fear. They were about to learn that humans wrote the book on warfare, and the Guardian was about to teach them every chapter. The Centauri colony's outer defense platforms detected the Dominator fleet first. 50 black ships emerged from faster-than-light travel, their weapons already powering up. As usual, they began broadcasting across all frequencies, letting everyone watch what was about to happen. In the Galactic Council chamber, the mood was grim. The emergency session had been called as soon as the Dominator fleet appeared, but everyone knew it was pointless. The nearest council fleet was 3 days away. The colonies would fall, just like all the others. "Wait," said the sensor operator, his voice confused. "I'm detecting another ship entering the system. It's huge." The main display lit up as a massive vessel dropped out of FTL travel. Even the Dominator broadcast switched to show the new arrival. The ship was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Nearly 3 kilometers of dark hull with pulsing blue energy lines running its length. It moved with impossible grace for its size, taking up position between the colonies and the Dominator fleet. "This is Admiral John Miller of the Earth Ship Guardian," a calm voice announced on all channels. "The Centauri colonies are under human protection. You have one chance to retreat." The council chamber erupted in chaos. "That's impossible," shouted Admiral Turner. "Earth doesn't have technology like that." "They hid this from us," council leader Marcus whispered. "All this time, while we thought they were primitive." The Dominator fleet's response came in the form of 100 missiles, streaking toward the Guardian. Everyone held their breath, knowing no ship could survive such an attack. What happened next changed everything they thought they knew about warfare. The Guardian's point defense system activated. Thousands of tiny ports opened along its hull, each firing a small projectile. The space between the ships filled with small explosions as every single missile was intercepted. Not one reached the Guardian's hull. "Interesting." Miller's voice came again, still perfectly calm. "Our turn." The Guardian's main weapons powered up. Lines of blue energy converged at different points along its hull. But instead of firing straight ahead like normal ships, each weapon targeted a different Dominator vessel. In seconds, 5 enemy ships exploded. The remaining Dominator fleet scattered, their formation broken. They had never faced anything like this. Their usual tactics of fear and intimidation meant nothing against an enemy who simply didn't react as expected. "Fascinating," Miller's voice broadcast. "You're used to enemies who freeze in fear, who watch helplessly as you destroy their worlds. But humans." The Guardian moved forward, its weapons charging again. "We've spent our entire history thinking about how to fight enemies bigger and stronger than us. We've practiced it in every story, every game, every simulation we've ever made." Another series of explosions lit up space as more Dominator ships fell. The survivors tried to regroup, to coordinate their attacks, but the Guardian was everywhere. Its point defense system made it untouchable, while its weapons struck with surgical precision. In the council chamber, the representatives watched in stunned silence. The military experts among them began to understand what they were seeing. The Guardian wasn't just powerful, it was using tactics from a dozen different warfare styles. One moment it moved like a submarine hunting in deep water, the next like a fighter plane in a dogfight. "Send word to your fleet," Miller continued, his ship destroying another group of Dominator vessels. "Humanity is joining this war, and we're changing the rules." The remaining Dominator ships fled, jumping to FTL as fast as their drives would allow. Of the 50 ships that had arrived to destroy the colonies, only 20 escaped. The entire battle had lasted less than 10 minutes. In the council chamber, Marcus stood up. "Get me Earth's representatives," he ordered. "I believe we owe them an apology, and we need to learn how they did this." As the Guardian took up protective position near the colonies, Its crew began analyzing the battle data. They had proven their ship could fight, but this was just the beginning. The real war was about to start, and humanity was ready to teach the galaxy about fighting back against terror. After all, they'd had thousands of years to practice. The Guardians' command center hummed with activity as crew members analyzed data from their first battle. Holographic displays showed detailed breakdowns of Dominator ship movements, weapon patterns, and communication signals. Admiral Miller stood in the center, watching as his team pieced together the puzzle of their enemy's true nature. "Play it again," he ordered. "Focus on their formation after we destroyed the first 5 ships." The hologram shifted, showing the moment when the Dominator fleet broke apart. Captain West pointed to several ships on the display. "Look here, sir. When their front line fell, they didn't immediately counterattack. They hesitated for 3.2 seconds. Dr. White nodded from her station. "That's not normal for an advanced fleet. Their ships have AI assistance. Responses should be almost instant." "Because they weren't ready for a real fight," Miller said, his eyes narrowing. "They're bullies. They've spent so long terrorizing weaker enemies that they've forgotten how to handle resistance." The ship's AI, nicknamed Old Ironsides by the crew, joined the conversation. Analysis complete. Comparing Dominator tactics to human historical records shows an 87% match with psychological warfare strategies. However, they appear to have no contingency plans for when these tactics fail. Miller walked around the hologram, studying it from all angles. They're a one-trick army. All their technology, all their strategies are built around creating fear, but they don't know what to do when someone isn't afraid. "Sir," called out Lieutenant Tom Baker from the communication station, "we've decoded more of their battle chatter from the fight. You need to hear this." The room filled with translated Dominator voices, their tone shocking everyone present. "The ship isn't running. Why isn't it running? Primary fear protocols failing. Combat effectiveness reduced by 60% when target shows no panic response." Captain West laughed out loud. "They're the ones who were afraid. As soon as their fear tactics didn't work, they started falling apart." Miller turned to Dr. White. "How's our new defense system performing?" She pulled up another display. "The point defense system is exceeding expectations. Old Ironsides can track and intercept everything they throw at us. But here's something interesting. Their weapons aren't actually that advanced. They just look scary. Like a cobra's hood," Miller mused. "All show, designed to paralyze with fear, but take away the fear. And you just have a snake," West finished. "A dangerous snake, but one that can be beaten." Old Ironsides interrupted with a priority alert. "Incoming transmission from Earth Command. The Galactic Council is requesting our tactical analysis of the Dominators." Miller smiled. "Send them everything except the ship's core specifications. It's time the galaxy learned how to fight back." The next few hours were spent preparing detailed reports. The Guardians' crew broke down every aspect of Dominator strategy, explaining how their entire empire was built on the foundation of fear itself. Their ships were designed to look terrifying. Their weapons were made to cause visible, spectacular destruction. Even their communications were calculated to inspire maximum dread. But here's their fatal flaw, Miller explained in his report to the Council. "They've never faced an enemy who understands fear better than they do. Humans have spent millennia scaring ourselves for entertainment. We've written endless stories about overcoming terror. We've trained ourselves to face fear, understand it, and overcome it." As if to prove his point, the ship's sensors detected another Dominator fleet, larger than the first, assembling at the edge of the system. "Looks like they want a rematch," West said, checking the tactical display. 40 ships this time." Miller nodded to his crew. "Good. Old Ironsides, prepare for combat. Let's show them what happens when their fear meets human courage." The Guardians' engines powered up as the crew moved to battle stations. This time, they weren't just fighting to protect one system. They were fighting to show the galaxy that fear only has power if you let it control you. and humans had stopped letting fear control them a very long time ago. The Dominator commander watched in horror as another of his fleets burned. The Guardian had appeared from nowhere, its massive form emerging from FTL travel directly behind his ships. Now, 15 minutes later, half his fleet was destroyed, and the rest were in chaos. "Fall back," he ordered, but it was too late. The Guardian had already calculated their retreat vectors. Blue energy beams cut through space, striking ships as they tried to escape. In the end, only 3 Dominator vessels managed to jump away. On the Guardian's bridge, Admiral Miller watched the last explosions fade. "Report," he called out. "Enemy fleet eliminated." Old Ironsides responded, calculating their likely retreat path based on previous patterns. "We can intercept them at the Orion sector in approximately 6 hours. Captain West grinned from his tactical station. "That's the 3rd fleet this week. They're running out of places to hide." The Guardian had spent the last month hunting Dominator forces across the galaxy. But they weren't just destroying ships. They were destroying the very foundation of Dominator power. Every battle was broadcast on the same channels the Dominators had once used to spread fear. "Message from the Galactic Council," Lieutenant Baker announced. "They're reporting unprecedented success. 17 worlds have successfully repelled Dominator attacks using our tactical data." Miller nodded with satisfaction. After their first victories, the Guardian had shared their analysis with every world in the Council. They taught them how to recognize the psychological warfare tactics, how to train crews to overcome their fear, and most importantly, how to fight back. "Sir," Dr. White called from her station, "the Council's engineers have successfully adapted our point defense system for their ships. The first retrofitted vessels are already in service." The bridge crew cheered. It was working. The galaxy was learning, adapting, fighting back. The Dominators no longer faced paralyzed victims. They faced prepared defenders who understood their tricks. Old Ironsides, Miller addressed the ship's eye. "Show me the current strategic map." The holographic display lit up, showing the galaxy in miniature. Red dots marked known Dominator forces, while blue marked Allied fleets. The difference from just a month ago was striking. Where once the red dots had moved freely, now they were clustered together, hiding in the outer regions. "Their empire is contracting," West observed. "They're abandoning their outer territories and consolidating their forces." "Because they've lost their greatest weapon," Miller said. "Fear doesn't work anymore. Now they have to fight actual battles, and they don't know how." A priority alert flashed across the tactical screens. "Multiple Dominator fleets converging," Old Ironsides reported. "They appear to be gathering for a major offensive." Miller studied the data. "They're desperate. They're going to try overwhelming force, everything they have left in one massive attack." Coordinates received from Council intelligence. Baker added, "They're targeting the Council's capital world. Nearly 100 ships." The bridge fell quiet. Even the Guardian, powerful as it was, had never faced those kinds of numbers alone. Miller smiled. "Send word to Earth. It's time to show them our final surprise." He turned to his crew. "Remember how every nation on Earth contributed to building the Guardian? Well, they didn't stop with one ship." Understanding dawned on Captain West's face. "The other shipyards, they're ready." "As of yesterday," Miller confirmed. "Computer, send the signal." Across the galaxy, hidden shipyards like the one that had built the Guardian powered up. Humanity's response to cosmic terror hadn't been to build just one ship. They had built 6, each one different, each one designed to complement the others. "Signal sent," Old Ironsides confirmed. "The Guardian fleet reports ready for action." Miller looked at the tactical display, watching as 5 new signals appeared. 5 more ships, each as powerful as the Guardian, moving to join them. "Set course for the Council capital," he ordered. "It's time to show the Dominators what happens when they push humanity too far." The Guardian's engines flared to life, carrying humanity's original defender to its greatest battle yet. Behind it, 5 more ships fell into formation, their combined power about to change the galaxy forever. The Dominators had wanted to teach the galaxy about fear. Instead, they were about to learn about hope. #The Final Hunt. The Guardian fleet moved through space in perfect formation. 6 massive ships, each 3 kilometers long, their dark hulls absorbing starlight while blue energy pulsed along their lengths. At the center of the formation, the original Guardian led humanity's most powerful weapons toward their final battle. Dominator Homeworld confirmed. Old Ironsides announced on all 6 ships simultaneously. Defense fleet numbers at 217 vessels. Planetary defense systems active and tracking our approach. Admiral Miller stood on the Guardian's bridge, studying the tactical display. Behind him, Captain West whistled softly. That's everything they have left. Every ship they could scrape together. And they're scared, Miller noted, pointing to the enemy formation. Look how tightly they're clustered. They're already playing defensive. The Guardian fleet had spent the last week pushing toward the Dominator home system, destroying every patrol and outpost they found. But they weren't just attacking. They were broadcasting. Every human victory was transmitted on all frequencies, just as the Dominators had once done with their terror campaigns. All ships reporting ready, Lieutenant Baker called out. The Thunder, the Avalon, the Titan, the Aegis, and the Sentinel await your command. Miller nodded and opened a channel to all 6 ships. This is Admiral Miller. Today we end the Dominator threat, not just with force, but with a lesson. They taught the galaxy to fear. We'll teach it to hope. Begin Operation Thunderclap. The Guardian fleet split apart, each ship taking its assigned position. The Dominators watched, their sensors trying to predict what these strange human vessels would do next. They're powering up weapons, West reported. Their entire fleet is moving to engage. Miller smiled. Execute Phase 1. The Titan and the Aegis suddenly accelerated, their massive forms charging straight at the enemy fleet. The Dominators, expecting them to turn aside, held their formation. That was their first mistake. Both human ships activated their point defense systems at maximum power, creating an impenetrable wall of interceptors. They plowed straight through the enemy formation, their superior defenses shrugging off everything thrown at them. The Dominator fleet's tight formation worked against them, ships colliding with each other as they tried to evade. Phase 2, Miller ordered. The Thunder and the Avalon struck from opposite sides, their specialized weapons targeting enemy engines and weapon systems. They didn't destroy ships. They crippled them, leaving them floating helplessly in space. Their formation is breaking, West reported with satisfaction. They're trying to regroup around their homeworld. Just as expected, Miller said. Phase 3, Old Ironsides. Activate the sonic broadcast. The Guardian and the Sentinel moved forward, broadcasting on frequencies the Dominators had used for their terror campaigns. But instead of screams and destruction, they transmitted something else. Laughter. Human laughter, starting as a chuckle and building to confident, full-throated sounds of amusement. The psychological effect was devastating. The Dominators, who had built their entire society around inspiring fear, faced an enemy that literally laughed in the face of their power. Their remaining ships began breaking formation, individual commanders losing coordination. All ships, execute final attack pattern, Miller commanded. Show them everything humanity knows about warfare. The Guardian fleet moved like dancers in a deadly ballet. The Thunder attacked like an ancient cavalry charge. The Avalon employed hit-and-run tactics from Earth's naval history. The Titan and Aegis coordinated their movements like Roman legions advancing behind their shields. The Sentinel picked off isolated targets like a sniper. And the Guardian, humanity's first defender, led them all, its weapons blazing with the combined knowledge of thousands of years of human military history. The battle lasted less than an hour. When it ended, the mighty Dominator fleet was reduced to scattered wreckage and disabled ships. The 6 human vessels took up position around the Dominator homeworld, their weapons targeted at key military installations on the surface. "Open a channel," Miller ordered. "It's time to accept their surrender." As the Guardian prepared to end the galactic terror once and for all, its crew knew they had done more than win a war. They had proven that fear, no matter how powerful it seemed, could always be overcome by courage, intelligence, and the unwavering human spirit. In the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, silence filled the air as Admiral Miller finished his report. The massive viewscreen behind him showed the Guardian fleet in formation around Earth, their dark hulls and blue energy lines, now a symbol of hope rather than fear. "The Dominators have surrendered unconditionally," Miller announced. "Their military is disbanded. Their fear broadcasting technology has been destroyed. Their leaders are in custody." He paused, looking around the chamber. "But most importantly, they've learned what real strength looks like." Council leader Marcus stood, his golden skin gleaming under the chamber lights. "In 3 months, your 6 ships accomplished what our combined fleets couldn't do in 2 years. How is this possible?" Miller smiled. "Because we understood something fundamental about fear. It's not just an emotion. It's a tool. The Dominators used it as a weapon, but they never truly understood it. Humans have spent our entire history facing fear, studying it, even turning it into entertainment. We learned that fear is like fire. It can destroy you, or it can forge you into something stronger." The chamber erupted in discussion as representatives from hundreds of worlds debated this new philosophy. Admiral Turner, his blue scales now showing proud patterns, approached Miller. "Earth has received thousands of requests," Turner said. "Everyone wants to learn from you. Not just your technology, but your ways of thinking." "And we'll teach them," Miller replied. "The Guardian fleet will become a training force. We'll help build an entire generation of defenders who understand that courage isn't about not feeling fear. It's about mastering it." On the view screen, the image changed to show shipyards across the galaxy. Council ships were being retrofitted with human-designed defense systems. Crew members were training in new tactics that combined ancient human warfare concepts with modern technology. "There's more," Marcus announced to the chamber. "Earth has been unanimously voted into the Council's High Command. Their first proposal is to create a new defensive force, one that combines the best aspects of all our species." Dr. White stepped forward, holding her tablet. "We're already seeing amazing results. Some species have natural abilities that, when combined with human tactical thinking, create entirely new ways of space combat. The Dominators taught the galaxy to fear. We're teaching it to evolve." The chamber's attention turned to a new alert. On a distant world, a group of former Dominator ships had tried to restart their terror campaign. The response was immediate, not from the Guardian fleet, but from local defenders using human tactics. The battle lasted less than 5 minutes. "That's the real victory," Miller said proudly. "Not that we defeated them, but that we taught others to defend themselves." Captain West entered the chamber, bringing news from Earth. "Sir, the first class of mixed-species crews has graduated from the Guardian Academy. 20 new ships, combining technology and crews from 15 different species, all trained in human combat doctrine." The council members watched in awe as the graduation ceremony played on the screen. Ships of various designs, all incorporating elements of human engineering, performed complex maneuvers in perfect formation. Their crews represented the best of galactic cooperation. "Fear ruled this galaxy for too long," Miller addressed the council. "The Dominators thought they had mastered it, but they never understood the most important lesson humanity learned over thousands of years of facing our fears." He paused, looking at the proud faces around him. "Fear is meant to be overcome. Each time you face it, understand it, and defeat it, you become stronger." As the session ended, Miller stood at the chamber's great window, watching ships from hundreds of worlds move through space. Among them, the Guardian and its sister ships patrolled proudly, no longer just humanity's defenders, but teachers of a new way. The galaxy had changed forever. The age of terror was over, replaced by an era of courage, cooperation, and understanding. And it all began because humanity had chosen to build not just a weapon, but a symbol of hope. After all, what better way to end fear than to face it together?